Alright, Hawks, welcome back. In this video, we should be looking at filling in a few more holes. So leaving off from our last project update, we did one hole here located in our block. We've got 4 more to put in. Alright, so let's start talking about how to add those in. So, first item of business is we need to locate these holes. Now, as talked about in the previous video, we need to either use one sketch to locate all the hole centers, or we can do individual sketches. So let's start with this one over here that's 2 inches from the left corner, and it's an inch up and aligned horizontally with this first hole. So previously I have come into my Fusion, I've opened up my block, I've now made a new one. I did a file, save as, and I created another version. You may be working in the same one. That's perfectly acceptable. So on our existing drawing, or my existing model, we can see that there is a sketch here. And if I take a look at that sketch, you can see that on this sketch, this is where I located that particular hole. Okay, so I can either utilize this sketch and add more points, okay, or I can add a new sketch to the same surface and locate the center point on that separate sketch. Okay, so the benefit to working on the same sketch is I can use constraints like a horizontal constraint or a collinear, where is it? There it is, collinear constraint. So I can utilize a dimension already identified in another sketch easier. Or I can simply just add in my dimensions. I believe we were going to be 2 over and 1 up. And I'll put that point where it needs to be. I'll finish the sketch, and then I'll work on putting in a hole on that identified point. So this is where we need to go back and forth. And it looks like this is a 0.375, which is 3/8 through hole. So let's go back and take a look. We have our hole interface. We're going to potentially change extents to all because we want this to go through the object regardless of how thick it is. Okay, and then we have the type of hole. It's a simple hole, and I need a diameter, which is 0.375. And if I enter, there is my hole going all the way through. Notice that I can see through. The previous hole we did is a hole that has a depth to it, so it did not go all the way through, which is why that one looks like it's black, because we can't see down inside of that hole. All right, next one. We have a counter bore hole here, and I'm going to do that one next. To keep things a little bit interesting, I am going to reutilize the sketch previously that I just used to place in this hole. So I'm going to go back to a sketch here in my timeline, and I'm going to double left click on it, and that'll open it back up. So I can add stuff to the sketch. Sometimes those sketches, when I use them, they get turned off. So I can always go back and turn a sketch on or off if I want to see that sketch. So let's do another point. And this time I'm going to kind of let Fusion maybe see that point. And if I drag out here, you see, and it might be hard to see on our screen, but it's trying to say, hey, did you want to align those two right there with that blue line? I'm going to left click on that, and that will hopefully not allow me to move this point up or down. And it did not constrain that, and that's okay. So I could either come back in with a dimension. I'm going to do a dimension from side to side here. And that is supposed to be what? Let's check. 4.5. Oh, wrong stuff. 4.5. And that will locate that hole left to right. Now, I could certainly come in and do another dimension to locate the hole vertically. However, let's try a constraint. Again, this is a little bit more advanced. I'm going to get a collinear constraint. And what that allows me to do, I share a common line. So I want this dot or point and that dot to be horizontal or collinear. Now it doesn't seem to be liking that. So let's try another one. Let's try a horizontal constraint. And it doesn't seem to want to do that one either. So not sure what I've got going on, but one of those two should have worked, the horizontal or the collinear. So since that's not working for me right now, I'm going to go back to the old bag of tricks, and I'm going to just put a dimension in so it's located in the correct location. And the important part here is that it is fully constrained when it is no longer blue or white. It would be black, and that's kind of indicating that it is not movable without changing a dimension. So I'm going to finish this sketch, and let's put in that counterbore. Now you notice when I finish that sketch, that point disappears. That's because we previously created a hole out of that sketch. So I'm going to go to my browser here, and I'm going to expand the sketches, and I'm going to go down to sketch 9. I'm going to turn it on. So it's visible now, and now we can see that point. Okay? So we're going to grab the hole command, and I'm going to come down over here to that new point, and we're going to now select a counterbore hole, okay? And I'm going to do a little rotation on this, so maybe we can see what's going on here a little easier. And let's go back and take a look at our example. So we've got a counterbore, and the counterbore is this U-shape area, and it's got a diameter of 0.625 and a depth of 0.5. So let's start with that, okay? So here's our counterbore information. We see the diameter of the counterbore, which is supposed to be 0.625. And our depth of the counterbore should be 0.5. Okay. Now the next things that I got to worry about is the extent of my hole. And I believe this one goes through all. So I'm going to turn on all. And that gets rid of our depth for the smaller hole. Okay. Let's go back and take a look. And that other hole is 0.375. It goes all the way through. So I'm just going to now select the distance or diameter, 0.375. Looks like that was already filled in for me. If it wasn't, I could adjust it. And when I say OK, I should now have a counterbore hole. So that would allow me to put like a washer in there or the head of a bolt of something like that to keep it below the surface of the object. All right, and again, if I'm working around, maybe I want to save this along the way, and feel free to do that. Maybe it's a C-bore, so it's counterbore hole, I don't know. So that way when I go and see it in my data panel here, you'll see I've got this holes. If I go down here to V2, you'll see I just created, should be counterbore, should be number there. Oh, there it is right there, C-bore. So it's got a name to it rather than, I guess, just being a random number, okay? All right, we've got 2 more holes to put in. So let's orient this, and I'm going to, I guess, do a new sketch. And maybe we'll put both of these new hole sketches on this new sketch. So again, there's not a right or wrong way to get there. Sometimes there's a more efficient way. But again, understanding what you're doing is half the battle here. So let's take a look at our example. And I seem to have 1, 2. It looks like they are 3/4 of an inch from the top edge. So let's put in 2 points. Go back to Fusion. I'm going to do on my sketch here. I'm going to get a point, and I'm going to put 1 here and 1 here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to, I'm not seeing this top edge. Now, let's take a moment and take a look at that. Why? I'm not seeing that top edge because there is a fillet there. So I'm seeing this edge, but not this top edge, which is where the end of the object is. So let's review. We can go back into Create, and we should have project information, and I want to project that top edge and that top edge. Let's say OK, and now I should be able to get that top edge to that point. That was supposed to be 1. Okay, 1. Let's double check that because that looks big. Was I right with 1? 0.75. All right, there we go, 0.75. So let's go back in and change that. 0.75. That looks a little bit more realistic. And while I'm in here on this sketch, I'm going to do a horizontal constraint. Let's see if it'll work on this for me this time. There we go. So I see those 2 symbols that showed up. That's telling me that there is a constraint. And that constraint image will depend on what type of constraint I may have applied. So I've got a horizontal constraint on both of those, so it should not allow me to move that dot up or down, but you can see it's free to move left and right. All right, and I need a couple other dimensions to locate this. So it looks like I got 4.25 from the left edge, so let's do that one next. Dimension from that point there to this point here, 4.25. And notice it is now a solid black dot until I try to highlight it. And our second one looks like 1.875 from the right edge. 1.875. So dimension from this edge to that point, 1.875. Is that what I said? Losing my mind over here, everybody. 1.875. Yes, I am. Okay, so I've got and located those 2 points. I'm going to finish that sketch. And now I want to work on making these additional holes. So it doesn't matter which one I'm going to start with. I'm going to select the one on the left. And let's go take a look at our drawing sheet. That is a 0.188 through hole. That's basically about a 1/16 of an inch. 1.875 is 1/16 of an inch, I believe. 0.125 is an eighth. So we're going to put a diameter of 0.18 and a through hole there for our small one. So let's go do that. So it's going to be an all hole, simple 0.188. Okay, there is that hole. And notice when I did that, the sketch, it went away because I kind of like consumed it to make that hole. It's not gone though. I'm just going to turn it back on. There's my point. So again, I could rename these. I could right-click on these and name them so they made sense, or I can just kind of work my way through seeing what it highlights or turns on. But I'm going to get the hole function again, and let's do another hole. That's going to be this one over here, and this is supposed to be a countersink. Okay, countersink. This would be for like the head of a screw, not a bolt. Okay, so countersink. Let's see. Let's go check our drawing. Does look like it goes all the way through as 0.125, so that's an eighth. And guess I probably should think this is probably 0.1875 is 3/16, not 1/16. Okay, just came into my head there. So a 0.125 through hole with a counter bore a counter sink of 0.375. So diameter of our counter sink, 0.375. The angle should stay the same, and the other one is 0.375. Let's double check that because maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, 0.125. All right, 0.125. 0.125. All right, so I've got a depth which should be all 0.375 for the countersink diameter, 0.125 for the through hole. When I say OK, I now should see, let's go to the 3D view there, and let's turn off this other sketch. And you can see that that's got a taper, like a cone, if you will, as opposed to this being the counter bore. So again, counter bore for like a head of a bolt or a nut or something like that, and this one might be like a screw head. All right. So if you've been following along successfully, we should now have a block that is the correct size, length, width, and height. We have a filleted edge, which we'll be making with a router. We've got a couple of dados, and now we have 5 holes. And our goal at the end of this is to be creating this physically out in the lab. Catch you on the next video where we're going to set up a drawing sheet.